The story starts from episode 2. The main character, Ed, and his brother Al were still kids when they started using alchemy. Alchemy is understanding the structure of a matter, decomposing it, and reconstructing it into something else. Those who can perform alchemy are called alchemists, and those alchemists who work for the military are called state alchemists. Alchemists follow the rules of equivalent exchange, which states that one thing can create another thing of the same quality and value. Alchemists can use alchemy by using alchemy circles called transmutation circles. Transmutation of gold in human beings is prohibited. Ed's and Al's mother, Tricia, died because of an illness, while their father, Hohenheim, had left them some years ago. Ed decided to perform the prohibited alchemy, human transmutation, to bring Tricia back to life. Ed and Al are now living in their parents' close friend, Pineko's house. Pineko has a granddaughter, Winry, whose parents died in a war as they were doctors in it. Then Ed and Al learned alchemy from an expert alchemist, Izumi, and believed that they can perform human transmutation now. They started the transmutation without telling anyone. The transmutation went wrong, and suddenly, Ed appeared in front of a gate. Another creature was in front of him which claimed to be the Truth. Truth sent Ed inside the gate, and Ed felt like a giant amount of knowledge was inserted into his brain. Then he was sent out of the gate. Truth told him to pay the price now. Ed came back to the real world and lost his leg as a price for getting that much knowledge. Al lost his whole body like Ed lost his leg. Ed sacrificed his arm to seal Al's soul in an armor as his soul left the body recently. Tricia came back to life and was in a terrible state. She died after some moments. 4 years later, a Lieutenant Colonel, Mustang, came to their house after knowing that a talented alchemist lives there and found out about the human transmutation Ed and Al performed. Mustang was impressed by what Ed did and offered him to become a state alchemist, as state alchemists are allowed to do high-level researches, and Ed and Al might be able to find a way to get their bodies back. Ed decided to join the military. Pineko gave him an automail arm and leg. Ed used alchemy without a transmutation circle, and only those alchemists who saw the truth can do it. Then Ed came to Central and became a state alchemist after passing an admission test. His military name was Fullmetal Alchemist. The next part of the story leads us to episode 1. An ice alchemist, Isaac McDougall, who's a former state alchemist, was trying to kill the Furra president, King Bradley, by saying that he saw the real hell that happened in the war between the military and a race of religious people, Ishbolans. According to Isaac, Bradley forced them to kill the innocent Ishbolans. Isaac was trying to create a philosopher's stone to fight Bradley. Philosopher's stones are like magical stones that can grant those wishes that science can't. One philosopher's stone can be created by sacrificing at least 100 humans. Isaac had an imperfect philosopher's stone and he was trying to complete it by drawing transmutation circles all around the town. Some state alchemists, including Ed and Al, fought him, but he escaped. He finally met Bradley on the street and fought him. Bradley killed him. Then 2 homunculus, Lust and Gluttony, were shown. Lust referred to Isaac and said that they lost one of their pillars. The next episode, Ed and Al came to a town, Leor, as they heard that there is a philosopher's stone there. Ed and Al want a philosopher's stone to get their bodies back. Though they don't know how it is created. The king priest of Leor, Cornello, performs alchemy and calls it miracle to make people follow the religion he made. Ed and Al saw a philosopher's stone on Cornello's ring. Then they reached a church and asked a girl, Rose, if they can meet Cornello and ask for guidance. Rose took them to him. Cornello came to know that Ed is a state alchemist and suspected that he might ruin his plans. Cornello attacked him with his followers and a chimera he made using a philosopher's stone. Chimeras are the creatures that are created using different other creatures. Ed and Al defeated them all. Cornello used a machine gun, so Ed and Al escaped. Cornello's followers followed them, as Cornello called them evil. Later, Cornello found Ed in his office. Ed asked him the reason for fooling people. Cornello revealed that he'll use his foolish fearless followers to create a strong army and then he'll rule the whole country, Amistris. Ed showed him a microphone that had broadcasted everything they said to the whole Aor. Furious Cornello used a philosopher's stone on himself and increased his strength to kill Ed. Ed fought back and defeated him. Cornello's philosopher's stone got broke and Ed came to know that it was fake. Ed and Al left Leor. Now, the townspeople were furious at Cornello. Cornello met Lust and Gluttony. They were the ones who gave him the fake philosopher's stone. Lust killed Cornello, while Gluttony ate him. The next episode, a state alchemist killer, Scar, killed a brigadier general, Bass Grand. Next day, Mustang took Ed and Al to a sewing life state alchemist, Tucker's house, as Ed and Al were curious about how Cornello made a chimera. Tucker made a chimera 2 years ago that could speak and talk. Though it didn't eat anything and soon died. Tucker lives with his daughter, Nina, and a dog, Alexander. His wife left him 2 years ago. Then Tucker came to know about Ed's and Al's past. Ed and Al read books in Tucker's library and became friends with Nina and Alexander. It was revealed that Tucker has to report his progress to the military every year, but as he couldn't do it last year, he'll get fired if he won't report this year too. His assessment day was near. Next day, Ed and Al came again and found a new chimera Tucker made. Ed figured out that Tucker made it by using Nina and Alexander and figured out that he used his wife to create a chimera 2 years ago. Ed beat Tucker and reported it to the military. Tucker was going to be arrested soon, but Scar appeared and killed both of them, saying that state alchemists are ruining the world given by God and are harming God's creatures like Nina and Alexander. The next episode, another partner of lust and gluttony, Envy, who can change his appearance, changed his appearance into Cornello and convinced people not to believe in the broadcast. Some people followed him, while some didn't. A civil war started. Now Scar came to Ed and Al to kill the state alchemist, Ed. Ed and Al fought back, but Scar was stronger than them. He destroyed Al's middle section and Ed's automail arm. He was about to kill Ed, but Mustang and some other soldiers came there. They found out that Scar is an Ishbolan, one of the people whom the military fought a war with. Scar escaped through a sewer. It was revealed that the military and Ishbolans had some issues with each other, but one day a soldier accidentally shot an Ishbolan kid and that turned into a civil war between the military and Ishbolans. After 7 years, Bradley started sending state alchemists to the war, who played a big role in the military's victory. The next episode, Ed and Al were going back to Central to get Ed's arm fixed. A Major, Armstrong, came with them, as they might get attacked by Scar again. On their way, they met a former military researcher who was forced to create a philosopher's stone for the war. His research was causing harm for Ishbolans a lot, so he ran away from the military with his research. He had an imperfect philosopher's stone, just like Cornello, but it was in liquid form that was even more imperfect. He's using it to treat the people of the town he's living in. He told Ed and Al to search in National Central Library's first branch for his book to see how the stone is made, as they'll be shocked by knowing the recipe. Ed, Al, and Armstrong left, and Lust was in Marco's house. She asked what he told to them. Later, Ed, Al, and Armstrong reached Pineco's house. It was revealed that before leaving to join the military, Ed and Al burnt their house, so they won't have any place to return to until they get their bodies back. Now, Ed got his automail parts, fixed Al, and went to Central to search first branch of National Central Library. The next episode, Lust burnt the whole library by saying that she didn't want to check the whole library to find the clues. She doesn't want Ed and Al to know the recipe of the philosopher's stone. Then she and Gluttony went to fight Scar for some reason, but Scar managed to escape. Then Ed and Al went to Sheska, who was a bookworm at Central Library and was fired for not doing her job properly. She can remember everything she reads. She made notes of the whole book of Marco in 5 days. Ed and Al started reading the notes as some writers hide something big in their writings in code words. A Lieutenant Colonel, Hughes, hired Sheska as he's from the research department and Sheska would be useful for him. Later, Ed and Al found out that 100 humans are needed to create a philosopher's stone. Now, Ed figured out that the military makes philosopher's stones in the 5th laboratory as there is a prison near it and soldiers use prisoners to create philosopher's stones. At midnight, Ed and Al secretly reached the 5th laboratory and sneaked inside. Ed went alone using a vent as Al is too big to fit in. The next episode, one of the bodyguards of that laboratory, 66, attacked the intruder, Al. Another bodyguard, 48, attacked the intruder, Ed. It was revealed that they're also like Al, whose souls were sealed inside armors. 48 was used to be a pair of brothers known as Slicers, who were mass murderers. Barry was a butcher who got bored of cutting beef and pork, so he started cutting humans. It was told to the public that they were executed, but actually, their souls were sealed inside the armors because of their skills. 66 was weaker than Al, so he started hurting him with words. He told Al that he might be a made-up being whose memories are artificial. Ed defeated 48, who was a pair of brothers, using the alchemy Scar used. The older brother was about to tell him laboratory secrets, but Lust killed him, while Envy killed the younger brother. Then Envy beat Ed and told him not to do dumb stuff like that. The laboratory got destroyed by Lust and Envy, as the military would come there for investigations now. Lust's group was trying to hide something. 66 ran away, while Envy bring Ed outside and hand him over to Al's group. The next episode, Ed was sent to the hospital. Winry was called to Central to fix Ed's automail arm that got broke a bit when he fought 48. Al was being emo and was keep remembering Barry's words. He later told Ed that he made him artificially, which made Winry angry. She told Al that Ed has done a lot for him since he was born and said some other dramatic stuff. Al went to apologize and Ed forgave him by having a fight with him. Scar was shown at an Ishbolan hideout. He lost his fight with Lust and Gluttony and got float there in the sewers. The next episode, Mustang remembered the wartime when he decided to take Bradley's place and become a president to bring peace everywhere. Ed, Al, Armstrong, and Hughes were discussing the fifth laboratory case. Suddenly, Bradley came and told them to stop searching for the Philosopher's Stone, as every person who searched for it had gone missing. Then he left. Ed and Al decided to go to Dublov, a town where their teacher, Izumi, lives. She was the one who taught them how to use alchemy. On their way, there was a town, Rush Valley, which is like a paradise for automail engineers, so Winry tagged along. Ed and Al revealed that they're going to Izumi for training and any information about any other way of creating a Philosopher's Stone. Hughes was shown. He came to know about the civil war in Lahore, and after investigations, he came to a conclusion, but Lust appeared and said that he knows more than necessary, so he should die. Hughes managed to escape and used a public telephone to tell Mustang about it, but Envy appeared in Ross's appearance and then killed Hughes in his wife's, Gracia's appearance. The telephone could only record his one line, "The military is in danger." His funeral happened, and he was promoted to the rank of brigadier general. Mustang started investigating Hughes' death. The next episode, Ed's group reached Rush Valley. A pickpocket, Peninya, stole Ed's military sign, his military watch. After knowing where she lives, they started going to her house and found her on the way. She was also an automail user, whose automail was well made and had weapons in it too, that interested Winry. An automail engineer, Dominique, made that automail, and Winry started convincing him to make her his pupil, but he refused. Then Peninya revealed that she got hit by a train when she was a kid and lost her legs and parents. Then Dominique found her and gave her an automail. She wants to pay him back for what he did, so that's why she's a pickpocket. Winry told her to get a job. A couple, Riddle and Sedila, live there too, and Sedila is pregnant. Her baby was coming out, so Dominique went to bring a doctor. She couldn't bear it anymore, and the baby was almost out. Winry decided to help her in the delivery as she read some of her parents' books, as they were doctors. Later, the baby was out. Dominique was glad to see his grandkid, and as a reward, he told Winry that he'll send her to an expert automail engineer in the town. Ed and Al left for Dublov. The next episode, Ed and Al reached Dublov and met their teacher, Izumi, and her husband, Sig. Izumi was angry at Ed for becoming a state alchemist. Then Izumi told him that she doesn't know about Philosopher's Stone stuff, but knows a person, Hohenheim, who knows about it. Ed told her about their relationship. Then some years earlier were shown when Ed and Al met Izumi when she created giant walls to stop the flood. Ed and Al asked her to make them her pupils, and after knowing that they are living without their parents, the soft-hearted Izumi agreed and threw them on an inhabitant island to survive for a month and to find an answer to a phrase, "One is all is one." If they're unable to find the answer, she won't teach them alchemy. It was revealed that she was sent to mountains in brigs like that too when she was training. Ed and Al found out the answer, that if they die, they'll turn into soil and then grass. Grass-eating beings will eat that grass and later get eaten by meat-eating beings or will die to become soil. That's how everything is connected to everything else. They're the one in all, and all is in them. One is all is one. A month passed and Izumi came back. She took them as pupils after hearing the answer. At present time, Ed realized that Izumi has performed human transmutation too and has seen the truth, as she can use alchemy without transmutation circles. Izumi also figured out that Ed and Al have performed the human transmutation. Izumi revealed that she transmuted a recently born baby whom they had a hard time giving birth to. She lost her organs as a price. The next episode, it was revealed that Al doesn't remember seeing the truth and might know how to get his body back if he gets those memories back. Mustang was getting transferred to the Central, and before going, he bring his 5 close soldiers with him. Scar met his master in the hideout and suddenly, a man, Yoki, who was kept by Ishbalans in their hideout because he had nowhere else to go, called some bounty hunters to capture Scar, but Scar killed them and left to continue killing state alchemists. Al was alone when a chimera, Beto, told him to come to a specific place as they knows his secrets. Al came to that place and after thinking that that group is of bad guys, he started beating them to force them to tell their secrets. They all were chimeras who managed to defeat him. Their leader was a homunculus, Greed. They took Al to their base, which was under a bar. It was revealed that all of them were used to be soldiers once and got turned into chimeras by the military. Greed told Al that he's a homunculus and has been alive for almost 200 years. He can't die when he gets killed, but there is a limit to that. He wants to know how Al's soul got transmuted inside that armor, as Greed wants to do that too to get eternal life. After knowing that Al doesn't remember how that happened, Ed was called there, as he did that. Ed thought of them as villains and started fighting them to save Al. Greed showed his supernatural ability, Shield. Every homunculus can use a specific supernatural ability, like lust can make her fingers sharp, gluttony can eat stuff, envy can change his appearance and greed can turn his body into a shield. Ed used science to weaken Greed's shield. Suddenly, Izumi came to, as Ed didn't put the broom back in its place and went away. She reached there, after asking people where Ed is. Then she started beating Greed, as he hurt her students. The next episode, Bradley came to Greed's bar with some soldiers. Greed managed to escape and came to a snake chimera, Martel. They were about to escape, but Bradley appeared and fought Greed. Other soldiers started killing other chimeras on Bradley's orders. It was revealed that Bradley is also a homunculus and has sharp eyes. Two other chimeras, Dulcitu and Roa, came to help Greed but got killed by Bradley. Then Bradley came near Al, but Martel was inside him and attacked Bradley using his body, as she was angry at him for killing her partners, but Bradley killed her. Al suddenly got his gate memories back. Later, Al woke up. Bradley seemed to know that Ed and Al performed the human transmutation, as Al's body was empty from the inside. Now, Bradley asked Izumi to become a state alchemist after knowing about her skills, but she refused. Then Al told Ed that he got his memories back, but still couldn't find a way to get their bodies back. Ed suspected that something is sus, as Bradley could have captured Greed and his group to ask them about some information, but instead, he himself came and killed every single member of his group. Bradley was shown in an unknown place and had captured Greed. He said that Al and Izumi should be added to their sacrifices list. There are 7 homunculi, and 5 of them were there at the moment. Their leader, named Father, killed Greed when he rejected to work for him again like he was used to. Father drank his remains, which were in liquid form. In the final scene, Bradley was shown with his wife and son, Selim, who was a big fan of Ed because he became a state alchemist at such a small age. Thanks for sticking till the end. If you like this video, then like, subscribe, and do all these stuff, and check out my other videos too.